Hello, this is OverlordBou, and we're back with another ship review video, and today we'll be looking at the new Tier 10 British battlecruiser, the Incomparable. Starting in the 11.0 patch, you can get this beauty for 31,000 steel, which is coming up in this week. Now, I would highly recommend this ship, and throughout this video, I'll explain why. Let's look over the armor real quick. So armor rate here is 25s with the 152 and the 102. 25, and also does have an above water citadel as well with a very small turtle pack right there. Now let's look at the build real quick. So the build I have for this ship equipment wise is going to be main armament, engine boost, aiming systems, rudder, concealment, and main battery modifications. Now the commander build you can do in multiple ways. I have mine set up as incoming fire alert, preventative maintenance, grease the gears, brisk, adrenaline rush, emergency repair, concealment, and fire prevention. Now you can also do it different ways as well. For instance, you can do fire prevention, brisk, adrenaline rush, base survivability. You can build it more in the tankiness if you'd like, or if you want to be a little bit more on the funds, like more on the furious side, you can use the furious perk here, be a little bit more get that little dispersion buff when you're on fire. You can do that, but for like the normal player and myself, I'd just recommended this. It's a little bit more safer, so I'd recommend it more that way. All right, well, with the build out of the way, I'm going to let the replay play while I talk over the stats and such. So let's hop on to it. Do forewarn, this is a pretty long replay, but I just want to make sure I got a good match that showcases everything about this ship. So let's further ado, let's get to it. So the ship has 70,000 HP with 25mm bow and stern. It also has a 51mm deck. The ship also has a 14% torpedo protection, and now with this, as I just shown earlier, it is easy to citadel by BBs, a fairly large superstructure, and a 51mm deck shrugs off most of the HE shells, which is quite nice. Now, let's talk about the primary guns. Now, these guns are 3 twin 508mm 45 guns. Now, it has a base range of 17.6 kilometers with a 28-second base reload. Now, since this is a battle cruiser, it gets battle cruiser dispersion, so it has a 2.0 sigma. Now, the HE shells are 7,400 damage with 85mm pen, with the AP shells being 19,500 damage with the overmatch of 35mm. Now, the turret angles can fire broadside 30 degrees off the bow and stern. Now, with all this information, this makes it where this is the shortest main battery range of all BBs. Tier 10s. Shortest main battery range of all Tier 10 BBs. It is the second most accurate BB at Tier 10, slightly better than the Thunderer, which is saying a lot, because we all know how accurate the Thunderer is. Now, the 508mm AP will overmatch up to 35mm of armor, BB bow, and stern, which is quite fancy. Now, it does also have excellent turret firing angles, so it's really nice when you're trying to kite away. You can try to get as much angle to your armor as possible. Now, the shells are floaty, so similar lead time as the King George or North Cal guns. So if you like those if you've played those ships before and you enjoyed those, then you'll have no problem getting used to the Incomparable. Now, the secondary armaments are 11 twin 102mm 45 guns with a base range of 7 kilometers and a max range of 10.6 kilometers. Now, they are normal battleship secondary accuracy, so like most BBs, they are poor secondary performance. So I would highly suggest not building into secondaries and use your torpedoes instead, which we'll be going into right now. So the ship does have 2 quad 533mm torpedoes with a range of 10 kilometers. These torpedoes also do 16,767 damage with a 96-second reload and goes 62 knots. Now, you can also use these in single fire or narrow spread mode. Just like the other British torpedoes and such, you are able to do a single fire or narrow spread. Now, you will most likely be using these to when you're cutting away from enemies. So when you're cutting away, you can kind of do surprise torps. So which makes it really useful for those. It is also useful for the rare point-blank torpedo rushes, though Incomparable is vulnerable when showing broadside-to launch torps, so it's highly unlikely you'd want to do that. Now let's talk about the anti-air. So the anti-air on this ship go as follows. It has 6 flak, 5 inner and 1 outer. The furthermost DPS is 166, the middle is 619, and the near is 273, with the max range of anti-air being 5.8, and of course it goes up to 0. Now this is surprisingly good anti-air, though mainly concentrated at mid-range. So it generally won't stop strikes, but will make them costly. Now for the maneuverability. The max speed, the base speed is 33 knots, base. But if you have the speed boost, it goes up to 37.3. And if you have brisk on, you go 40.6 knots. Incredibly fast. Now the turning radius of this ship, it's not really surprising since how long it is. It is a 1,160 meters with the rudder shift time of 16 seconds. Now, it also gets improved acceleration similar to other Royal Navy ships. So this makes great use of the fact that you can if you're kind of a little further away, you're able to throttle juke your enemies quite well. Now, this is the second fastest BB at her tier, only second to the Burgoyne with the speed boost active. It is one of the fastest turret ships of her tier, and it's fast overall. It does have the largest turning radius at her tier among BBs though, which is pretty obvious from how long this ship is. Now it does also have the fastest acceleration among BBs due to her Royal Navy acceleration. Now let's talk about this ship's concealment, which is incredible. At base range, the sea is 13.1 and air is 12.3, and from the best, it's 10.6 to the surface and 9.9 for the air. Now this is by far the best BB concealment in her tier bracket. It actually has better concealment than even most tier 3 and 4 BBs, which is insane. And with this amount of concealment, you're even able to outspot most cruisers at tier 10, which is incredible. Now let's talk about the consumables. Now for the consumables, it has a standard BB DCP with a 15-second immunity period with the 80-second reload. Now this ship does get a super heal, which heals 2% damage for 20 seconds. So base, it does a 40% base. But as you can see in the video here, the heal goes all the way up to 36,960, and that includes the flags, which is a shit ton of health. Now, it only does get 2 charges base, so you definitely want to make sure you build into the Superintendent skill to make sure you get 3. Now, the engine boost is a plus 8% max speed for 120 seconds, and a reload of 180-second reload. And you do get 3 charges of these. Now, you also do get the Royal Navy DD Hydro, which is the same as the Daring, but has a longer reload as a penalty. It does get it detects ships at 3 kilometers, and it also detects torpedoes at 3 kilometers. It has an active time of 180 seconds, but also has a reload time of 180 seconds as well. And you do get 3 charges of these. Now, you can pick between having a standard spotter or a fighter plane. And I would highly recommend the spotter plane to get the extra range. With the spotter plane, you do get plus 20% range, and it is active for 100 seconds with a 240-second reload. And you do get 4 charges of these throughout the match. Now, let's talk about the overall impressions of this ship. Now, as you can see, this match is still going on, and we still have pretty far more to go in the match, so let's just talk about the overall impressions. Now, this ship has a very high skill floor. As you can tell there, I got absolutely devastated when I try to be any bit aggressive. You have to use this ship's concealment to your advantage. You have to be able to angle, or you just get absolutely deleted, as you can see what's going on here. And this ship also has a high skill ceiling as well. Now, the Incomparable is perhaps one of the most unique battle cruisers or slash battleships to ever been released so far in World of Warships. Her multitude of gimmicks, including the 508mm guns, the excellent top speed, and super heal, gives her a playstyle befitting of her name, which is Incomparable. True to her battlecruiser design, the Incomparable performs very well against cruisers. Her accurate high caliber guns will punch through cruiser armor, while her superior speed allows her to hunt them down. Her impressive speed will also let her quickly flank stationary positions or rotate to areas where she is needed. On the other hand, Incomparable struggles in straight up sluggy matches between other BBs due to her poor armor protection, as you saw earlier in this match, or actually now. Now, she can certainly hit hard, but she will also be hit hard in return. Skilled players will use their high speed, to outposition their enemies, catching them off guard with their powerful guns, or further they can properly react. Now, my overall, the Incomparable is a powerful, though somewhat polarized ship. Players wanting a more aggressive ship with powerful guns should look no further than Incomparable. Those who prefer to play in the back are still better off with additional BBs like Yamato or Shikishima. Now, let's talk about this ship for randoms, ranked, and clan battles. For randoms, I would say this ship is very strong. Fast repositioning and powerful guns let her contribute a lot, provided she doesn't get blown up first. She also is strong and tired to help her deal with CVs in matches. They also have that as well. The ship also does come with three attack flights for depth charges, so it does have the ability to use depth charges against subs, which is very useful indeed. Let's talk about for ranked. So for ranked, this ship does have an above average to strong performance. Still has very good guns, but her poor durability becomes a liability in a slugging matches. Now, if the team needs a tanky BB, the Incomparable is definitely not the place for it. Now, for some reason during this match, there was some issues with the recording software. I don't know what happened here, but I do apologize for the lagging that's going on during this. Not really sure what's going on, but it kind of happened during the match, so not really sure. So, CBs, it does have a potential in Pacific comps, but unlike to see widespread use due to her poor durability and short main gun range. For instance, we all know that right now in clan battles with the no CVs, the Ohio, Kremlin are pretty much like the main two battleships. Then you'll have the Schlieffen coming in a few, the Yamato. I'm trying to think. I don't think the Burgoyne doesn't see too many uses in clan battles currently, but those are pretty much the main 3 or 4 battleships right now. And all of those have something in common, where the 3 have in common is durability. Now, the Schlieffen is more, it's about how much firepower it can put out with those secondaries. Now, this ship can put out a lot of firepower, but is extremely squishy compared, it's even more squishy than the Schlieffen. So I wouldn't, even though the ship does have 508mm guns, we would have to wait and see to see if it's put into clan battles. Or people would use it in clan battles, I mean. Because even though it has a poor durability, it does have a very strong super heal, which can kind of pick up some of the slack. But a well-placed shot from an enemy battleship can easily dev strike this ship if you're not careful, because it does have an above water citadel that doesn't, and as you can tell, the ship itself doesn't look very tanky at all. Even though it is a battle cruiser, you could just call it pretty much just a giant cruiser at this point. Now, whenever I was playing this, now at this point, I've already said everything I wanted to say about this ship. I'm just letting the match go on at this point. Now, as you can see throughout this match, you can definitely tell if you don't hit your shots. Like, it is accurate, but if you don't know how to aim or you're not properly aiming it, you're not going to do a lot of damage with this ship. So that's where the very high skill floor comes in, because you have to be able to use the 6 guns with the 2-point Sigma very well. Or if you don't, you're just going to be wasting your time. Now again though, since it has such a good concealment, you are able to play the ship pretty stealthily, kind of like the Schlieffen does, where you kind of just wait and you lurk for the right opportunity and you get those really nice broadside shots, or you just catch someone out of position, you just destroy them. And that's something that this ship can do pretty well as well, because as you saw earlier, whenever I caught that Worcester broadside, he just got devastated by these 508 guns. Just hit really hard and consistent and hit him right in that citadel, just slapped him. And these guns again do 19,000 damage per, pretty much they're 19,000 damage. So if they citadel, it's gonna be felt. Now this was a pretty close match, and the reason why I wanted to watch this one with you guys is due to the fact that it kind of showcases the ship's ability to kite, as well as its weakness on pushing. So you can kind of see how earlier on I made the mistake of being too aggressive. You can see what happens, and now you can tell I'm being a little bit more passive, not being as aggressive, and I'm doing a lot better in the match. It was also funny the fact that I actually torqued the DD in this thing. That was kind of the highlight of that match. I was laughing so hard at that. I found it really hilarious. Now, so far we've done 128k. So far we're doing pretty good in this match. We have 1 kill so far. We've tanked 2.6 million, by the way, which just speaks in volumes how much that super heal just saves this ship. Like, that super heal is so good. I love it. It is so good. It just feels like a little mini Conqueror. It's really, really fun. I love it. I love it so much. Now, again, you can get this ship starting on the patch of 0.11.0, which should be coming up in the next week. And you can get it for a total of 31,000 steel. Now, I will be making another video in the future on, like, my top 5 steel ships. And highly likely this ship is going to be in there. Because, again, this is the most unique battle cruiser ever released in World of Warships. In my opinion, it has so many gimmicks. It has the 508 guns. It has the top speed. It has the super heal. It has the hydro. It has the good anti-air. It has the torpedoes. The only thing this ship really doesn't have is its armor, but for what you get, it's worth it. It's really is worth it. Now, at this point, the Colombo is just gonna run away. So we're just not going to watch the end of it because he's just going to run away. So there's really no point in watching it. So let's look at the final score. So the final score, I got 157,000 damage with 1 torpedo hit, 1 kill, 1 citadel, and 45 shell hits. Now let's look at how I performed in the match. Now in the match, I was top of the team. 2,400 XP. It was an incredible match for this ship. Even though I made a really costly mistake over in the beginning, I was able to come back using that super heal and was able in the end to pull off the win. But yep, that will be it for the day. Again, I would highly recommend this ship as a steel ship for the cost of 31,000 steel. I would highly recommend it. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions, concerns, just let me know in the comments down below. But this is OverlordBou, and I'll talk to y'all later. Oh, big stretch, dude. Oh, big stretch, yeah.